What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shogi from Shook Earth Media, and today we are back with Better Call Saul, and we had another amazing episode. I get to take a victory lap this week because I was right about a couple things. We'll get into that as we go through the episode, but if you like Better Call Saul, definitely hit the sub button and like, and I'd hope to hear your opinions down in the comment section down below, because we're going to continue covering this show as we get closer to the final episode. Now, I'm even more excited about the rest of the season given this episode because we got basically an epilogue of what happened last week, and we deal with the fallout of the situation, and then we get a time jump. And that's the one thing I was right about. One of the things I was right about. There was another thing I was right about: the breakup scene. So we're going to jump right into this episode. So we start off with a montage that is basically Saul, Jimmy, and Kim going through their normal day the day after last week. So this is after Mike gives them the whole speech about how they need to go through their normal day, and that is what we get. And we get, it's backed by music. I believe it's Julia and Angus Stone, if I do recognize the voice, but I could be wrong. But that's the montage. We get to see them go through their normal day. We don't get any dialogue whatsoever. I'm curious if they wrote stuff and then cut it out in post-production, or at what point that decision was made. Because it would be kind of funny if they just shot a whole scene and we're just like, no, we're just going to go with only music. But even without that intention, you still have to write something, because you still have actors in front of the screen and they have to act something out. So that was what it was going through my mind during this scene. But I like how it almost feels like a back to normal, but then we go back to the apartment, and of course we saw Mike and his team cleaning up the apartment, getting new food for the refrigerator to make double sure that everything looks non-suspicious. Of course, when the police come and question everybody and all that. So we got Mike here burning some final bits of evidence, and that was the first scene. And here we get Kim completely dejected. She, of course, at this point, we know by the end of the episode, is planning to leave Jimmy. And I've been saying it all along, and people poo-pooed me for it. But you know what? I was right, and I get to take victory lap this week, but we're not going to rub it in too much. Only a little bit, okay? I just wanted to go back and point out some of the finer details in the montage were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the transition between the blood cleaning up and their days. Like, of course, they had them cleaning up blood, and then it was, tomato sauce or something that Jimmy was eating. So they had a lot of clever transitions, and, in traditional Breaking Bad fashion, we had amazing transitions for every scene. It was really planned out. Yes, so here is the transition I was talking about with the blood, and then it became the tomato sauce. So I really, of course, always love the montage scenes. They're always some of the best you'll ever see on TV. So gotta appreciate while you have it. But then we get a scene I didn't expect us to get. I didn't really think it was necessary to see this conclusion, because I just assumed they could skip past this and we could just be like, yeah, we know that Gus isn't gonna get in trouble for anything that happened. So this is the final meeting between the Salamancas, Gus, and Don Eladio. I was not really I should have seen it coming, but I wasn't expecting to see Don Eladio. But it was nice to see him, and this scene basically plays out exactly how do you kind of expect. We already know going in, Gus is not going to get in trouble because we've seen the future. But basically, Hector has a letter that he wrote, he dictated. He tells the truth of what happened, that Lalo called him, that he didn't really die. But we get to see Hector kind of have a little tantrum when it doesn't go his way, because there's no other proof. Nobody else knows that Lalo was alive. Lalo's dead now. He can't speak his mind on it, and nothing else is going to happen with it simply because there's no proof, and he's an old man. So who knows? There's nobody corroborating this, or else it would have gone way differently. And I like to see Don Eladio again, and it gives us closure on that chapter of the storyline, and I suspect we might not see Gus again. So that's kind of cool. And again, this they say it in this episode. It's the end of an era. We'll get back to when they say that and why they say that, but this episode pretty much is all about that. It's giving us little bits of closure. So we get a scene here of Gus moving back into his original house, of course, no longer in the safe house situation, doesn't need to be as concerned because Lalo is now dealt with. So he's back in his original house, and here he gets the lowdown from Mike about what happened with the lawyers and Howard and everything like that, and again, giving us closure for that. And I love that shot of the hallway, and you see a shadow at the end. Love it. Now, this scene, I'm not really sure what the whole point of this scene is. I don't know if this is setting up a new character or what the point of this scene is, or just to give a little bit of background of Gus's life. But he goes to this fancy bar and he's getting some expensive wine. And wow, that is interesting. Okay, we're gonna refresh that. So, and then this guy shows up and talks his ear off, basically, about other expensive wines and the story of how there's a very expensive wine that was opened today and somebody didn't even enjoy it. And he has other stories too, but basically I think the point is that these two, Gus, I suspect the point is that Gus has a kind of a connection with this guy, some kind of intimate feelings. Maybe they have a past or history together. That seems to be the suggestion of this scene because Gus is very interested in what he has to say. And when the guy walks away, Gus leaves. So again, I don't know if this is setting up this David guy as a character who's going to return later, or what the purpose is here. Maybe I just don't remember David and I just missed it and he was in it before. Actually, let's look that up right now. No. I don't think he was a character before based on that just cursory glance. So I suspect that's the point of the scene, is that very least Gus is interested in getting to know this guy for whatever reason. So I'm curious to see if anything happens with that or what. It was fun to see him do he swirls the wine glass and the whole procedure, because Gus does everything very meticulously. So it was a fun scene. Again, though, I'm not really sure what the point was. If somebody has any insight into that, let me know. But this was another closure scene. Again, this whole episode is just about giving us closure. And we are talking to Nacho's father. Mike has some leftover guilt. He tries to put the box away and forget about it, but he can't get this out of his mind. And he meets with this guy. And I really like what he has to say. Of course, Mike tells him the full story of what happened. And he says that the Salamancas, there will be justice against them for what they did to Nacho. And he talks about the difference between justice and revenge, that they're just looking for revenge and it's an endless cycle that won't end, and that the justice is a different thing. And that ties in with some imagery we see later when we get to the Saul part. We'll talk about that when we get there, but there's like the statue of Lady Justice, etc. So tying in with the themes of what's the difference, what is justice, what does it mean, because of course, we're dealing with a shady lawyer character who uses the law to his advantage, to often commit crimes. He uses the law to his advantage. So that question of morality and justice and revenge and all of that is very much a theme of this episode. So that scene, again, was a nice, satisfying thing. And here we get another satisfying ending. This is the end of HHM. And we are going back to, I believe this is the first episode. It might even be like the first scene or one of the first scenes, is Jimmy beating the hell out of this poor trash can. Or the one that used to be there. This is now a new one. So I appreciate it's getting that bookend. And of course, this is Howard's funeral, basically. A very tragic scene. It has an authentic feeling to it. And then they come up and talk to Howard's wife, and she has an idea that something's going on. She doesn't buy into the addiction story because she was there. She confronts him about the fact that Howard said that Jimmy was messing with him, and all of that, everything that he was saying to her in the scene between them when we saw, I forget what episode that was, But and then Jimmy reveals the actual truth that there was jealousy between him and Howard because he was jealous that Howard had Chuck's respect and he never had it. So he kind of let slip a little bit of the truth that that's why he messed with him so much. And then that didn't work. So Kim steps in and says that she saw him doing drugs a few years ago, which is just a bold-faced lie. She just straight up lies. So the funny thing here with the justice thing is that Jimmy tells the truth and it is received the wrong way. Kim tells a lie and is received correctly. So this is the moment, I think, where Kim is especially like, no more law. She can't be a lawyer anymore because she's using the law against her own morality. So here we're in the garage that we've been before, and this is when we first see, this is the place where we first see Kim and Jimmy together. They're sharing the cigarette, and this is the final goodbye, basically. I mean, we get another scene with them after, but this is the moment Kim is saying goodbye, and at this point, I was already like, fuck you, I was right. I was getting a little bit excited. I was like, the breakup is happening, it's real, and then this scene confirms it because she withdraws from her case. You know, she can't wait at all. She needs to leave as soon as possible. She won't even tell the judge why. She's no longer a lawyer. She quit. She told the bar, and then basically she's waiting for Jimmy to show up, and then she's gonna have this final conversation. And again, the real truth comes out, and Jimmy knows instantly that something is up. This is like the next level. Jimmy confronted her a few seasons ago about her quitting her job, and then this is like the next level because not only she quit her whole career, and he knows he has some guilt over it. He knows it's kind of because of him and the scam thing, and she reveals the truth that she thinks they're bad for each other because alone they do okay, but together they do terrible things and people get hurt. So she leaves Jimmy, and it makes total sense, and it was a tragic, heartbreaking scene. And I like how it kind of reminded me of the scene at the end in the last episode of Breaking Bad between Walt and Skyler, where they finally reveal the truth of why Walt was doing what he did. We get a lot of scenes like that in this episode. We get this scene here where she's admitting the truth that they're bad for each other, and we get the scene at the funeral where Jimmy admits the guilt. So again, it's the truth coming out, and this is the final scene we get before the main transition, the number one thing I was right about, and that is the time skip. And now we're back in the house that we were in episode 1, and it is so absolutely perfect. He wakes up next to a random woman, and we get to see the paintings in greater detail. He's on his Bluetooth in the shower. You know, we see the hair thing. Everything is just so perfectly aligned here. I absolutely love how this worked out. And now, if you guys saw my behind the scenes video, I did a behind the scenes video about Better Call Saul, the first few episodes of this season. And one of the facts in that episode is that they filmed the teaser scene for the first episode where we saw this house originally. They've said they filmed it later in the season, and now we know why they filmed it later in the season, because they filmed this scene at the same time. So that is, I should have known based on hearing that we were going to end up back here eventually, but I'm so glad to be in the Breaking Bad continuity. There's something small you might not notice here. In this scene, he's on the Bluetooth, he's talking about a public masturbator. That is a reference to the first episode that Saul Goodman appeared in, where he was supposed to see a public masturbator, and he ended up helping out Badger, I believe. When Badger was arrested, that was the first time that we saw him on screen. And he is preparing for that. This is the same outfit, the same shirt he was wearing that day. So this is the day, the morning of the day that was the first appearance on Breaking Bad. So that's a nice little Easter egg, and now we know that we are in the Breaking Bad timeline. So we are seeing some behind the scenes of what Saul was up to while Walt and Jesse were doing their thing. So we are 100% getting Walt and Jesse very soon, maybe next week. Who knows? I'm I know we're gonna get something that changes how we think of what happened during Breaking Bad. There has to be some kind of twist somewhere. So we're gonna get something, something that illuminates what was going on in Saul's life that makes us think differently about certain events in Breaking Bad. So I have no idea what that could be, but boy was this scene amazing, and everything worked out great. He plays his ad on the radio and he's complaining about it. It's just so perfect. He parks in a handicap spot and he has a fake parking pass, and that's again another theme about the law not equating to the truth. So he has this pass that says it's okay, and a government thing approved it and said it's okay, but it's not the truth, but it is legal. So that's again tying into that same theme about the difference between justice and revenge and truth, and all that stuff is tying in. I would need to sit down and think really hard about and to come up with a thesis about what the message of that is, but it's very interesting to track all of it. I really like how we saw before how it used to look when they first started it out, and how the secretary was so much more full of life back then, and just how dejected she looks now. I will say, I think this is might be a YouTube comedian I recognize. I don't know, but we got some interesting characters. It's definitely The Office as we knew it in Breaking Bad. So we are in that timeline, and we pretty much end. He says his cue to the secretary to let people in is that let justice flow, or something like that. Some kind of poetic statement about that. I'm not sure where it's from, but again, tying into that theme about justice. So there's a lot going on here, and I'm really excited to see what happens now that we're in the Breaking Bad years. So this is exciting times for Breaking Bad fans and Better Call Saul fans. So I hope you guys are excited as I am. I cannot wait to continue covering this show. If you want to come along on this journey with me, please sub, and I would love to hear from you in the comment section down below. And with that, it's been your boy Shogi, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.